Hey, welcome to SteveBizBlog. I'm Steve Imke, and today I want to show you how to use an awesome market research tool called SimplyAnalytics. You can generally license this if you're an individual business, but quite frankly, many public libraries offer this to their patrons for free. As you can see, I'm actually going to be using this through the Pikes Peak Library District, which is where I live. The first time you come in, obviously you can sign in as a guest, but I don't recommend that simply because you won't be able to save your data from one session to another. You can create an account. It's absolutely free, and once you've created an account, you can just log in and you can see all of your previous programs that you've done. So let me log in to my account, and we're going to come in here. And so let me explain a little bit about the background that we're looking at here. So this is kind of your dashboard here where you can select a variety of different information going through. Now, typically what happens is what we're going to way we want to start this is we're going to want to start with a new project. So you're going to click a new project. You see open project. Those would be projects that you've already opened and gone ahead and taken a look at. So the first thing you need to do is select a location. So let's select Colorado Springs, which is where I'm at. So Colorado Springs is where we're going to go. And so this will be a new project that we're going to be working on for this particular tutorial. It comes in pre-populated with a variety of different things. I generally recommend you just put in the total population for right now to create the project just to start. So here you can see this is actually the outline for Colorado Springs. And because we've asked it to map populations, it is breaking this down right now for us, the population within the city. And you can see these colors indicate the density or the population within each one of these little segments in here. So we're going to talk a lot more about maps here as we move along. One of the first things you probably want to do is give your project a name here. So we're going to call this Cleaning Company because that's what we're going to pretend we are. And we're doing research for. So that becomes our company or our current project name. So whenever we come back to it, we'll be able to get back to it using that as I select from other open projects. Okay. So what I'd like to do before we really get into how to use this particular tool, I want to talk about some other ancillary things that I think are pretty incredible sources. And if you come up here to support and you select on this data documentation, you'll see that there's a lot of documents here that help you understand the kinds of information that's in this database. But I really want to focus in on the Simmons. There's a lot of other ones. You can play with it. But I think this is the most valuable ones that we would probably use. But even beyond the use of this particular tool, I want to introduce you to a couple different documents that are in here. The first one is this Simmons Mosaic Group and Type List. So if I click on that, I'll get another window that will pop up. You can see this is 118 pages, but I want to explain to you how this effectively works. So what happens is we break the population. Every time you use a debit card, credit card, or a loyalty card, basically anything but cash, the UPC code or the SKU or whatever you purchase even online, and your credit card and the address is matched in big data. And so at some point, this company here will go out there and they will categorize all people's spending habits into what they call groups and then subgroups or what they call types. So these are considered groups. So Power Elite is a group and American Beauty is a type within Power Elite, and so on and so forth, as you can see as we work all the way down through this through this list here of various groups and types. So there's quite a few of them, 71 to be more specific. I generally would encourage people to review this to determine which ones they think would make the most likely customer archetype for them. So allow me to explain here. The way this manual is produced, it'll discuss all of the groups first, and then it will discuss the individual types within those groups as we get later in the document. That's why it's 118 pages long. Now, the reason I generally have my clients start here is because there's a rather lengthy narrative that's just describing a little bit about this group. So if you were into maybe you were dealing with a museum, you could search on the word museum in here, or the fact that they reading books, or they have the beach or the lake, or those types of things. So these are explaining a lot about this particular group. There's even a section here on the bottom that talks generally of how to market to them. Now, so for the first, several pages in here, we are just going to be looking at groups. So this is group K. Now, once I get further down in the list, so I'm just going to pick something here. Let's start here. Or right here. Let's do this one. So right here, again, now we're into a very specific, we're in the K group, and we're in type 38. This is modern blend. So this now is within that group, and it gives you a narrative of just that smaller section. Metro Fusion here, a little bit more of a description. This is more accurate because it's a type within a larger group. So if you look at between the narrative of the group and the narrative of the individual type, you'll be able to find an awful lot about the archetype that you're going after. And hopefully you'll select a few of these that you'll want to map into your Simple Analytics map to find out exactly where they live. All right, going back here, that's one that is more of a narrative. But this book right here, the next one, is the Simmons Mosaic Handbook. So if you click on that one, this one you can see is 188 pages, very similar to the way the other one was set up. It has all the same groups and types that we just saw before. I'll bring your attention to this particular page because I like this because it kind of, if you're looking for like high income people, they'll tend to be on the top of this square. Lower income tends to be on the bottom. Singles tend to be on the lower right. Families tend to be on the upper left. Young on the lower left, old on the upper right. So you can kind of get a sense, I think I need, I want old, higher income people. Maybe I'm going to go into this A01, or maybe I'm going to go to the C12. You can see that's going to generally be older people. But if I want high income, but I'm looking for somebody in maybe the families, and maybe a more on the younger side, it might be A05 and so on. All right. So again, this is a very similar layout that we had before. And just like in the way we did the last one, here's going to be an explanation within the Power Elite group in this particular case. So let me talk to you about this page here, because I think there's a lot of information here for helping you understand how to target anybody who is in the Power Elite segment. And so if I look along here, this is giving me who they are. So they're generally a head of household. Ages are between 36 and 45. They live in a single family home. Generally, it's over $250,000. They purchase their vehicles over $75,000. So on. You can see some general information. But this is the real thing that I think has the most amount of value here, and that is the channels. Now, let me explain something. There's anything that's above 100. These are what we call indexed. So there's an index of 100. If you're at 100, that essentially means they've taken all the people and they've moved it that half below and half above. So anything above 100 would indicate that this particular group has a higher propensity to respond to this type of marketing. So here in this group, if you want to market to them and you go on television, it's 123, which in fact is greater than 100. So this is generally a good channel to market to them. The next one over here, the one that looks like a little envelope, is like USPS, stuff that comes in through the mail. val packs, those kinds of things. You can see this is 83. Sending them something through snail mail, they're not going to respond to it too much. Because it's below the 100. It's not like they won't respond to it, but it's not one of their better channels. Radio is the next one. Man, this is 18. Basically, I'm going to guess these people just do not listen to the radio, and they're not going to respond to ads on the radio. This is SMS types of messages, 156. Yes, this would be certainly somebody that I would want to put on an app so that I could continue to send them coupons and so on, capturing their cell phone number so that I can go ahead and send them messages periodically. This @ symbol is email, and you can see this is 381. And this tells me, wow, this is in fact the #1 channel that you're going to be able to get to this group of people. If I was marketing to generally somebody in the power elite, I would absolutely want to give away something for free in exchange for an email so that I could go ahead and continue to market to them forever. And this last one right here is social media, Facebook or whatever. And this it combines all the different social media. So this is 180. So again, this is also a very good way to market to this particular group. Certainly not as good as email, but it's still a very high number compared to the average, which would be 100. This is also a rather telling piece here. This talks about technology adoption. And so if they have a really small cell phone marker here, they're really, not very technical. If they have the big one right over here, they're very technical. These people are more than the average in technical expertise. All right, so again, this is all based on the group, and each one of these, and now this is the next group, flourishing families, and so on. Every one of these has 2 pages, so there's also some demographic information about them. So you can see here how many of them are, in these different age brackets and the family structures, whether they purchase or lease, and some vehicle types that they own, and a lot of other kinds of things. Now, what happens is if we scroll way down through this group here, we're eventually going to get to sections down here. Let's jump in right here. Okay, so this one right here is in group E, and this is the 19th one on the list, and it covers, group E is E19, E20, E21. And you can see these are households with high discretionary incomes, living upper middle class and sophisticated lifestyles. Here again, you can see the channels and whatnot that they respond to. But remember, this now is within the type. So this is far more granular in terms of the kind of information about this very specific group. So basically you want to find the group first, and then within the group you want to find which one of the types makes the most amount of sense for what you're marketing. And just like the other ones, it had a lot of information here about some general demographic. Okay, so enough with the background stuff. You can use those for anything you want to, and I will probably have those available too. You can download from SteveBizBlog on the free download section as well. But for now, you can always get to it through that section there and support to be able to access that. Okay, so let's talk a little bit more. Let's get into what we want, what we can actually do with this tool here. So you'll notice here there's this section near the top here where I can add locations, I can add data, or I can add businesses as I need to. And then there's this data search section. So remember just a few seconds ago, we found this particular group here, consummate consumers, which we just looked at just a few minutes ago, the E19. If I go ahead and type that into the search box and I hit return, you'll see that, oh, look, it's coming up with, it's doing a search of all the databases that we have over here. And here's that segment from the mosaic segments of consummate consumers. Now, every time, if I click on it, I'm going to add that data to my collection. Now, sometimes you see a number there. Those are going to be the number of households. So as you can see here, as it's doing Colorado Springs, it says the number of households that would be considered consummate consumers is going to be in this particular area probably between 85 and 290 versus this one right here. In this section right here is only going to be about 3 to 21 and so on. Sometimes you see the percentage. Now that's going to be the percentage of households in one of those zones that we're looking at. So if I click on that now, this is giving you basically the same type of information, but not in total number, but the percentage of them that actually live in each one of these little groups. So here we're talking about these darker groups, 2.3 or more percent are actually residing in that particular area. So I want to bring your attention to each time I select one of those, I'm going to put that into my group as I go there. So that's the first part of understanding how this works. All right. Now, another way we can look at this is through what we kind of call customer behavior. And oh, by the way, we can just click on this to shut this down. And if we really wanted to look at the map, notice we've selected these two segments here. So we can go back to any one of these situations right now, and we go right back to where we were before. So now remember, this was in Colorado Springs, but I could add another location later, and I could go and I could look at it from zip codes or whatever. And so this is getting more detailed, from a state to counties to cities to zip codes to census tracts and into block groups. So if I click on block groups, this is the smallest, most finite level, and it generally, because it's a lot of data that it's having to generate here, it's going to take a few minutes to do that. But I can zoom into any part of the list, and now you can see, here you can see this is Briargate Parkway, this is Union, this is Research, and basically this group that we're looking for, which is consummate consumers, don't necessarily live there. But look, they actually live in this small little crescent right over here. And if I really zoom in, I can start seeing individual roads here, and I know that this is generally a good concentration for this particular targeted market, and you can see all around Colorado Springs. All right, so now let's assume that I am a business. I'm going to want to open up a cleaning company, like a housekeeping, for example. So one of the first things I could do, I could come over here and I could go into the data search, and I could do enter housekeeping. And if I click housekeeping, you'll see I'm going to get a variety of different types of sections here. And I'm going to say, all right, so now if you see this is, again, very similar to the way the other one worked. Right now you can see this is in consumer expenditures. And so this is for housekeeping services. So if I select that, the block that I checked, in this case it is block groups here, I would get the total dollar amount spent there. On the other side, if I were, so you can see over here in this section right here, which is a dark number, it's between, $201,000 to $2.3 million. Or I can go here and look at the household averages. So now it's looking at the average spent per household. And so I can see the data slightly different. And so if I look over here, these households are spending anywhere between $332 and $3,500 a year on those types of expenditures. Now, I want to bring your attention to this data folder, because you can see on the left-hand side it says browse by category or by data folder. So if I open up this one right here, you can see that it is actually going to be in the consumer expenditures estimate folder that exists there. Now, if we look down here, you can see what I selected here, which is what my view is right there, or this view right here, which is the other one that we looked at. Okay, but this, just so I want you to understand that this resides in this particular data folder, and we could be looking here. Maybe if we wanted adult daycare or some other kinds of things, we could select any one of those that we chose to. Let's look at it a different way, because there's different keywords that I might put in there. So again, I have a cleaning company, so maybe I want to put in maid service. If I click in maid service, oh look, I have right here, this is some information that's coming out of the professional, or the Simmons local professional home service provider providers. And it's the question is used in the last 12 months. And so they ask these consumers, have they used these services in the last 12 months? And so here's a couple other ones that would definitely be worthy of adding to our particular list. Now, I'll bring your attention again to this open the folder piece, because if I open up that folder, you will see now it's back into this Simmons local database. And I could look from a variety of different ways to find this. So I could select directly into the data folder over here, and I would just get this from a generic standpoint, and I could cruise down to where I want to. So this is, you see where we're at already, because it's going to find the last one in the search that I have. It's in home. And if I scroll on down, it's in professional home service providers, and it's used within the last 12 months. So if I click on that, you can see here all the ones that have been used in the last 12 months. This cleaning services up here, but carpet cleaning, electricians, furniture cleaning, a lot of other things. But again, realizing that there are many different data folders in here, and we're matching them all up into this process here so that we can find out where these people live. Okay, so let's take another section here. So once I have selected them, I can minimize them. So I want you to bring your attention to now is how I control this map. So if I click on this right here, you can see these are all the segments that we selected, whether we want to find the percentage of households that are the consummate consumers, which we selected, or if we wanted to find the household expenditures on an average, or in the case that we're looking at here for maid services within the last 12 months. And so you can see here, if I was to look at this, you could see any one of these dark colors, somewhere between 17.22% and 100% of the people in this particular neighborhood. And of course, we can zoom in and find out, what the street numbers are, right? So here you can see Dublin and Rangewood, and you can see what bounds this. It's easy to kind of assess where that location is. And then this is because we're in a group called Colorado Springs, which we could add another one if we wanted to find the United States. We could do that, or we could add another city. I'll talk about that in a minute. But right here, you can see this is how it breaks down. So it breaks down by states. Counties are more granular. Cities are more granular than that. Zip codes are within the city. That's even more granular. Census tracts are even more. And block groups are another one. So if I went to zip codes, now you can see these are going to be in zip code chunks. So the resolution's not going to be as good, but it's within a zip code. And sometimes you'll want to understand how that goes. And so we're sorting here by zip codes in Colorado Springs. So that's how we're essentially accessing this information. Now, there's other things that you can do here. You can edit. For example, maybe you're not into reds and maybe you're into blues. We can change that. We can also change the numbers here. So right now we have 5 categories. If we change it to 7, it'll kind of automatically adjust that. But we can put in whatever numbers we want. So if I wanted to tell you that it want to go from 7.10 maybe to 25%, let's say, if I hit the return there, it would go ahead and adjust those, generally speaking. You can play with this. Current ranges are not valid. Okay, so, but specifically when I'm in something that's more numbers oriented, like the number of homes and stuff, I can easily edit that and kind of understand where that information kind of comes from. Okay, so a couple things I will bring to your attention here. There are different views that we can do. So another view, these are all the different views. Map is what we've just been kind of playing with. And of course, you can create a new map with a new version of what you're looking for. Comparison table, ranking tables. I would say that these two are probably the only ones that we generally use, but I could do, let's say, a comparison table. Again, if I wanted to compare, let's say, Colorado Springs to the United States, and I don't really care about that, but maybe I just want to look at the this consummate consumers alone. Maybe that's all I want to do, is I want to compare them here. I would then select which ones I want, because these are all the ones that are in our data collection right now. And you can see here, of that, Colorado Springs is about 1.44% at Colorado Springs, where the national average is 1.28. I can always come back here. There's a little down arrow here. I can always edit it. I can add whatever other ones I want to add to my comparison, and now I can see it in dollars or whatever. This is just another way to look at that information. There is another way to find, let's say I want to put a location in, and I want to go, let's say I want to put in a street address. Now, it's never going to let me go down to the actual street address, but it's going to get me at least into the census group where it is. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put in my address. It's going to require a search, and it's going to tell me I'm in the United States, in Colorado, in El Paso County. It's giving me all the different locations. And if I want to go to the block group, I can add the block group now. So now whenever I do a comparison table, I not only have Colorado Springs, the United States, but I just added this block group. And so here you can see if I'm going to target consummate consumers again, and I happen to be in my neighborhood right here, you'll see that they only represent about 1%. So they're far less than the average in Colorado Springs. Probably not a great place to market for that group of people there. But again, maybe I really want to compare them to maid services, let's say, and I'll compare those two. I'll say I don't really want to care about the United States right now. I'll just do done. Now I can see these two. This is going to give me raw numbers. So it's telling me that professional services, people that have used maid service in the last 12 months in my small group is 187. That's not bad. And if I look at the percentage, the national or Colorado Springs is about 7%, and we're about 7.5%, about almost a whole percentage point higher. So that's just another way to look at it. We also have a ranking here. We could, because we're looking at population here, it's going to be the top 10, or you could do top 10, for example. This is the top 10 for populations, but let's adjust the rankings here. Let's edit that, and let's get away from that. Let's bring in home and total numbers, or let's do percentages. We'll do them both if we can. Let's do that. And we want Colorado Springs, and we'll do Colorado Springs. So it's a bigger area for right now. So now you can see from a ranking perspective, actually, that's probably not really good because I just selected one block group right here. So let's do zip codes, which might be a little bit better. So within all the zip codes that we do have within Colorado Springs, here you can see the actual percentages. So if I want to sort this not by location name, but in fact by the percentage of households, here I'm going to say that if I want to market my cleaning company, I'm going to be best to serve 80921 because 11.16% of the households in this zip code have articulated that in fact they utilize a housekeeper for their services. Okay, so now another thing I'd like to add to this is maybe I want to overlay a business on top of this. So let's go back to the map here. And I want to come over here. Now I can do the same kind of situation here. I can take in, let's say I want to find businesses that are in the cleaning services space. So I click on that. And what'll happen is all these dots represent people that are, or businesses that are in the home cleaning space. So if I click on this, you see it has 3 there. So if I click on it, you'll see I have 3 pages there. One is this, Sanitec Pro. The other one right here is this Senzip Inc. And this other one here is this Tidy Turns. And you can see there's even provides some stuff about their sales volume, those kinds of things. So you can kind of see who the players are. I mean, this is obviously a much bigger player. This of the group, this is the one that has the most business, but you see they're in a couple different areas there as well. So this is just one way to even map in other businesses, and so now you can get a sense for the different locations. Now, obviously, you could put a NAICS code in there, NAICS code. It would do pretty much the same type of thing. Another way you could simply, if you weren't really sure what you were looking for, or you didn't know the keywords, or you typed in, cleaning cleaning company and it didn't find it, you could ultimately go through this and look through various sections in here. You can see the count in here. So if we were maybe in retail trade, then we might go down to, health and personal. So you'd have to find each one of the categories. That's just another way that you could, in fact, find this if you couldn't find a keyword that simply worked well for you. So now let's talk about what we can do with this information when it's all over. So I can select the maps here. Let me be clear. I can edit this and I can select whatever categories I want. So in this case, I want Colorado Springs, and I want to look at the percentages of people that said that they want maid or household services, and businesses that are cleaning services, just what we saw on the map right here. So if I say done there, that's what I have now. And so now I can hit export. So you see the exports up here. So if I click on exports, the first thing is I can expand or contract the map. I can move it around to wherever I want to. Until I'm happy with what I want. I might be able to select basic things about whether I want this landscape or I want a portrait. In this particular case, the space is probably best suited for landscape. So let's continue with the layout. So it's going to plot this here. So now I have this legend here, of which if I decide I don't want the legend or sidebars, I can turn this off. You can see on the bottom here, it's giving me my scale bar going in there. Here's the legend. If I click the legend on, I can also move the legend to some place where it's not as visible. I can add maybe even a north arrow. You can see the north arrow just came in there, and I could move it maybe over here. So I have the ability to slide things around until I'm really happy, and I might even be able to slide things off of the page, and then I can continue to the export, and then I would select, what do I want? Do I want PNG? Maybe I want a PDF file, and then by hitting finish, I'm going to actually produce that report, and it was sent to my downloads. So this is the tool in a nutshell. It is a very, very powerful way to search kinds of data for a particular location. It is generally for free if you go through the public library wherever you are, and it's you can look at it from a variety of different ways, and I think it's a very decent tool for any business when it comes down to market research. I hope this has been valuable for you, and have a wonderful day.